This is the Denza B8, and if you're thinking about a Toyota Land Cruiser, a Land Rover Defender or a Nissan Patrol, you really ought to check this one out. It's an electrified 4x4 with lots of EV driving range, 3 rows of seats, some luxurious interior appointments and loads of standard spec. And the price, well, it might surprise you. So let's get to it. Let's have a look at the Denza B8, shall we? Thanks for subscribing. This vehicle, less than $100,000. That seems like pretty impressive value, quite frankly, considering this is a luxury SUV. But let's talk about what you're getting for your money. And it is a long equipment list, people. The outside is categorized by full LED lighting. You've got keyless entry and smart entry as well. There's 20-inch wheels with semi-off-roady tires, and you've got a side swinging tailgate, and it's got a full-size spare, of course. And then there's the interior, which includes things like a 7-litre fridge and a hot box as well. And it's got 17.3-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's an 18-speaker sound system, a 12.3-inch driver info screen, Napa leather interior trim, soft closed doors, 16 different drive modes, soundproof glass, and plenty of standard safety spec and tech, which I'll talk you through a little bit later on. But let's consider some alternatives. As I said, it's playing in an interesting part of the market, this one. All right, so you're thinking off-road capable SUV and you want plenty of practicality and comfort. The Nissan Patrol could be a very good alternative, but it is powered by a big V8 petrol engine, and if you're thinking electrification, then that might not necessarily gel with your mindset, but it is super duper capable, especially the Premcar tuned Warrior version, which is great off-road. And look, I mean, it's more than $100,000. I don't know whether that's gonna get in its way, but really, I do think that the Patrol could be a great choice if you're okay with petrol. If you're not and you want diesel, the Land Cruiser 300 series could be a very good option as well. Now, it is super duper capable. It's got 3 rows of seats. There's a number of different offers in that lineup. And I mean, the price is a lot higher as well. And another alternative with a really high price is the Land Rover Defender 110, which has a number of different versions available, a plug-in hybrid as well with lots less EV driving range than this. But it is a great off-roader, and it's got the 3.5-ton towing capacity that you might be needing. So what do you reckon? Would you choose any of those? Or would it be this one? Have you say in the comments. The B8 is a big unit. It's almost 5.2 meters long. So yes, you are going to need to figure out whether your garage will fit it or not. It's got a long wheelbase as well, and it's almost 2 meters wide, and it's almost 2 meters tall as well, but it carries off its size very well. I think it's a beautifully proportioned vehicle, and the design is excellent in my opinion. Now, I'll put on some off-road angles on your screen so you can see for yourself. It does have a fairly big level of adjustability to the SSP suspension, so you can raise it up to a maximum of 310 mils of ground clearance. The minimum is 220, so still pretty generous in terms of that. And it comes with a choice of 6 or 7 seats, as I said. Now, this model for us will come with a fixed set of side steps. You've also got those Michelin tires as standard for our market. And you might be surprised to learn that the door, the rear door, which has the spare on the back of it, doesn't open from the curb side. It opens from the other side, and that could be a problem for those who are, well, prone to parking and needing to actually put things in their boot. But there's another consideration there. So let's open the boot and see here. Yes, as you can see, side swinging the wrong way, and that means that if you are at the shops, you have to open it from that side and then walk all the way around to put stuff in. And yeah, if you reverse into parking spots a lot, that could be painful. But it doesn't have an opening rear glass either, but it does have some really clever stuff. Like, you might have just heard it, the air suspension lowered down because it figured out that I was opening the boot and it went into load mode. You do have some controls to adjust those elements of the experience back here as well. So down here, you can see there's a number of controls, including seat adjustments and your height adjustment for the back. You've got a 12-volt port, and you've got some little clips for these seat belts to get them out of the way. As you can see, with the seats folded down, there is a good amount of space in the very back of this vehicle. And yes, you do have a little net section on the back if you want to store some extra items. Underneath here, you'll find you've got a jack, and that's sort of not much else, and that's a bit flimsy feeling, quite frankly. But let's raise up these seats and see what space we're playing with. Here we go, electronic adjustment. So look, is that quick enough if you're in a hurry? It's quite slow. Here we go, quite slow. Now you might notice here that you don't have any top tethers on those third row seat backs, and that could be a problem if you plan to use this for families. And hey, it might change by the time this car is available to customers, because I have heard that that's what they're aiming for, having top tethers for all rows of seats. But the boot space with the third row up is not too bad. In fact, you'll be able to fit some luggage behind there and some school bags easily. Now let's jump in quickly and I'll show you what the interior is like. All right, people, I've got to be quick here because I'm running out of time, but have a look at this interior. Does this feel luxurious to me? Yes, it does. Does it look luxurious to you? Have your say in the comments. I reckon it is a luxe space. You've got Napa leather seat trim. You've got the walk-in system. You can adjust the passenger's seat there and allow more space for those in the back. Some beautiful design elements as well. I don't necessarily love the pop handles on top there. They're electric, but yeah, there's also these nice big hoik handles to get you in and out. This design is pretty handy, I have to say. You've got the digital instrumentation in front of the driver there. I'll go into more details when I get a chance to do more detailed review on this car. And then you've got a 17.3 inch screen here, which does have a number of different controls and menus and drive modes. As you can see here, it is very, very high tech, and you've got an excellent surround view camera system on offer here as well, which allows you to glance around the car very, very quickly. It's super fast processing, and I really do think that this is very impressive in terms of the tech here. You're going to like this car if you're into tech. You're very much going to like it if you're into off-roading, because it's got heaps of that stuff. We'll get to that later. Twin 50-watt wireless phone chargers, a nifty little shifter that pops up. You've got a power button in the middle there, and also a couple of mode buttons below. Lots of other controls here, as you can see, but as I said, I'm running out of time. Cup holders, you've got a fridge in there with some waters. Hey, that's nice. And you've also got bottle holders down there, a grab handle there, which is nifty, and a pop open glove box. All right, nice big glass roof. Nice and open, airy feeling, because it does have a black ceiling. If you close that, it does feel a little bit more cave-like. But let's jump into the second row and see what the space is like. All right, that seat set's for me, 6 foot tall, and I am comfy back here. I've got a fair amount of leg room, good amount of foot room. I've also got an armrest to adjust if I want to, which is handy. There's plenty of other great inclusions in these seats. So USB charging, little storage areas like a dock for your phone. And back here, you'll see you've got this little screen, and it's actually for something that pops out here. That fridge, look at that. So you can give those in the back something that they need, if they need something. Now, overhead, you've also got ventilation, you've got grab handles, and you've also got heaps and heaps of head space. So if you're a tall person, or if you've got tall kids, I think you're gonna fit back here. Nice big grab handles to get you in and out. And I mean, I think the thing that might be an issue for some is that these seats do have flat sides, so they do feel like you might sort of wobble around a little bit. But that also means that you've got access to the third row a little bit more easily. So let me wander through here and see what the space is like. Yep, even an awkward big unit like me can do that. And yeah, there's sort of enough space there to be almost comfortable. Knees hard against that seat ahead, and I was sort of not necessarily lounging in that seat, but I do think that this could be okay for those who are planning to use this vehicle with little kids in the very back. But just keep in mind, as I said, you don't have child seat points in the back row here. So it might be better to have your grown-ups in the very back and your kids in the middle there, because there's ISOFIX points and top tethers there. There's also plenty of other inclusions back here. You've got cup holders, you've got USB-C ports, you've got ventilation, you've got lights. So all that stuff is pretty well considered, and so is the headroom, and you've got grab handles in the back, which is very, very handy if you are off-roading and you've got a full loading. So yeah, what do you think? I think this could be a pretty exceptionally good option for people who are looking for a 3-row SUV, but I still think I'd go for the 7-seater and just sacrifice the feeling of captain's chairs for those in the middle row. Under the bonnet of the Denza B8 is the DMO powertrain, which includes a 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine and electrification to allow it a very, very big amount of grunt. We're talking 450 kilowatts, 760 Newton meters of torque, which is enough to propel this 3,290 kilo SUV from 0 to 100 in 4.8 seconds. And yes, it does have cross-drilled brakes, so you should be able to pull it up in time. And it's also got some really good brake towing capacity, 3.5 tons. So we are talking proper competitor to those big name 4x4 SUV rivals. But let's talk range and charging. You can drive this as a fully electric car if you want to. It has a decent amount of EV driving range, which you'll see on your screen right now. And it's also got, well, the size of battery that allows it that level of EV driving capability. Now, if you're the sort of person who's going to drive it more as a hybrid, well, let's talk about that. You do have a petrol filler cap on the curb side, and on the road side, or driver's side, is where you'll find your EV charge port. So keep that in mind if you're a street parker. Now, you've got AC and DC charging. The AC charge rate is on your screen now, and that should mean a relatively good charging time for this battery pack. And then you've got DC charging, which is faster than you might be expecting. And it means that if you're off-roading or you're out and about and you just want to quickly top up at a rapid charger, you've got the capability to do that. In other markets where you might need to drive fully EV in some areas, that could be very handy, but that's not necessarily a consideration for Australia. Just nice to know that you've got fast charging capability if you need it. All right, time to go off-roading in the B8. I was very impressed with this when it came to the off-road stuff in China. And look, the capability here is obviously similar to what you get in a B5, but it is a bigger vehicle. So it's also got a little bit more size to contend with, but it's got heaps and heaps of tech to get you through where you might find yourself otherwise getting stuck. Now, you do have plenty of clearance, and it's got loads and loads of capability when it comes to negotiating little teeter-totters like I'm going over right now. Yeah, lots of articulation happening, wheels up and down, and it is managing this extremely well. It's so very impressive, and it's surprising because, you know, if you didn't know that it could do this, you'd probably just think that it's a nice, big, luxurious SUV, but it's got serious capability. Now, we are in the mountain mode, and we've got low range engaged, so you don't have to put it into neutral for that. You can just drive along and hit 4L and it will go in, which is surprising compared to some others out there. And look, we'll just keep moseying along this track and see if we can get ourselves into any sort of mischief. Well, hopefully not. That's not the aim of the game, obviously. I got to say, look, I haven't driven it on road, but I am impressed by the hybrid system generally. It's a very, very enjoyable experience to be able to go off-roading and have some, well, some fun, but do it silently and in an EV-like world. It's kind of cool. Now, we're going to go over some rocks here and see what it goes like. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to put it into rock mode. Suspension is in high. Rear differential has locked. Put my camera view back on so I can see what's going on. And we'll just cruise over these lumps and bumps. It does have a very long wheelbase, and you've got, well, plenty of articulation to the wheels and the axles dropping down and in and out of these bumps. It is super duper handy when it comes to the off-road stuff. Sorry about the rattles. There's some stuff in the back there making a bit of noise, but it is very, very good at coping with that sort of stuff comfortably as well. But hey, we're over the rocks now. Let's put it back into another mode. We'll go back to mountain mode and up over this crest. Here we go. Now, up, bit of momentum, not too much. Yep, that's steep, that's steep, that's steep, that's steep, that's steep, and again, up and over. very, very steep hill there, and it got up and over that without any fuss at all. So that's cool, I reckon. Next is a hill descent. There is hill descent control here, so you can quickly go into that by the drag down from the screen. There is a button on the screen here which you can configure. It's not configured right now, so let's put it on there. There we go. And we have hill descent on. Put my camera back on, and over we go. It's very steep, people. This is like a 23-degree drop, I believe. So I'll just drop the nose over. You can see everything outside is looking a bit more vertical now. And we are 2 kilometers an hour, 1 kilometer an hour. So easy down that. And look, again, if you are an off-roader, you know that the easiest adjustment you can make to any off-road capable vehicle is fitting a set of more assertive or aggressive tires. And that would certainly be an advantage you could give yourself if you were looking to do more off-roady stuff in this vehicle. Because, well, really, tires are the limit here in terms of what you can get out of it, in my mind, because, I mean, all the other stuff seems to be very, very good in terms of allowing you to find your way through and get yourself out of trouble. Very impressed by this, and you can hear the engine has kicked to life there. So the battery state of charge is below a certain level where it goes, hey, you need engine, you need petrol to keep things happening the way they should. But it's not like the engine is necessarily influencing how I'm progressing here. The electric motors are doing what I want the car to do for me. Rightio, next obstacle is another little crest over into a water crossing, up and over. It's quite steep. We've got hill descent still active, so we can just dab on the brake there and it will crawl down here for us. Yep, nose first into the mud and the water. And yeah, easy peasy does it. It is super duper capable and confidence inspiring too. And it deals with these lumps in the surface underneath you very well. You've got a decent amount of communication happening here between the tire and your backside. The steering maybe isn't the most communicative, but I do think that you've still got plenty of weight and you can sort of judge what's going to happen next, and you can see what's going to happen next by looking at the camera if you do find yourself in a situation where things are a bit blind and you're not sure where you're going next. But look, I really like it. I think that it's a great piece of off-road machinery and technology. And I really think that if you are thinking about something like a 300 series or a Patrol, you might be surprised just how bloody good this thing is when it comes to the off-road stuff. I haven't had the chance to drive this one on road yet, and I'm a bit upset about that because as far as I can tell, this one seems to be a very, very compelling option if you are looking for an off-road capable SUV with 3 rows of comfy seats and lots of standard spec and tech. And under 100 grand for this much grunt? Wow. We are talking something very impressive here, people. But make sure you ring the bell and you'll be notified when I get a chance to do a bit more with the Denza B8. I'm planning to cover it in a few different ways in the future, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.